For years, the Mafia series has given us unforgettable stories of crime in America. Lost Heaven, Empire Bay, New Bordeaux. While Mafia 1 and 2 are widely considered as classics, Mafia 3 failed to hit the mark with fans of the series. But Hangar 13 is here to take us back to before the Mafia families crossed the ocean, back to where it all began. This is Mafia, the Old Country. We had a chance to talk to Alex Cox and Devin Hitch from the team, and we quickly found out that this game was an ode to the classics. It's the same Mafia you know. Family, honor, respect. Forget the tailored suits and the Tommy guns for a moment. This is Mafia at its most fundamental, where your honor is only as sharp as your blade. I'm Srinath, and this is your IGN Fix. Alex and Devin were kind enough to give us their time to tell us much about the new game.
My name is Devin Hitch, and I'm executive producer on Mafia the Old Country.
My name is Alex Cox. I'm the game director of Mafia the Old Country.
I've been at Hangar 13 for a little while now. Started on Mafia 3 as a producer, and I was lead producer. Had the pleasure of working with Alex on Mafia Definitive Edition, and now we're back again for Mafia the Old Country.
The first thing we asked them was about the game's setting. We are going back to Sicily in the 1900s, yes, but also much of the content available online right now points towards a mafia versus bandits sort of a picture. How and why is this the setting for the game?
So, one of the things that's unusual about Sicily at the time is that banditry was a very common phenomenon. Actually, that there were outlaws living in the hills of Sicily for various reasons. It was something that had been the case in Sicily for hundreds of years. And protection against bandits was actually one of the reasons the Mafia came about in the first place. So, running protection rackets, providing overseers, watchmen and guards to the citrus groves, the farm properties in rural Sicily of wealthy landowners was where the Mafia first originated. So that's why bandits are in the game, and that's why one of the reasons we wanted to explore this time period in particular, because as you say, the Mafia previous games have been about that Italian-American immigrant story. We wanted to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit and show what happened beforehand. Where did those immigrants come from? What was the Mafia in its original form before it sort of came across the Atlantic and found a new place to breed in America? And again, you see those reasons on the screen over the course of the story as we sort of take our little cross-section through Sicilian life in the early 1900s.
It's been confirmed by the devs of Mafia that we will be seeing some characters from the previous games in the Old Country.
I can say definitively yes. I can also say definitively I cannot say anymore. Some of those are very obvious, some of those less so, and so I'll leave that for players to kind of like rediscover. We do have returning characters, yes, and I look forward to people sort of reacting to those as when they discover them.
Well, we're not going to spoil it for you here, but the new Mafia game also features an incredible set of new characters you get to interact with as Enzo, the game's protagonist.
Our strength is telling, linear story games that take your protagonist on a very strong journey, through the course of that game. Very similar to Tommy's arc in Mafia Definitive Edition, and you have Vito and Mafia 2, and that's what we've sought to do here. So you do get a lot of FaceTime with those characters as Enzo, right? And you start to understand how they see the world, and as Enzo is starting to develop his own perspective in life. I mean, he's coming from impoverished, almost enslaved childhood, right? Working in the sulfur mines. He starts to become his own person, right? And part of, I think, the journey that you take as the player is you are kind of discovering Sicily and these characters and their relationships sort of at the same time that Enzo's doing that, right? And so the players sort of experience there sort of mirrors Enzo's, and we hope that the player can find their motivation in the same way that Enzo finds his. And I think there's some really nice storytelling aspects there, and that's kind of what we've really wanted to do in terms of the gameplay systems as well. Tell this nice linear crafted story.
For the first time in the game's history, Mafia, the Old Country, is introducing a new weapon type in-game: knives. Here's Devin telling us all about it.
I think the weapon system, sort of the mechanics of that, is going to be very familiar for, players that have played, the last couple of Mafia games. So whether that's Mafia Definitive Edition or Mafia 3. But then, you brought up the knife, and that's something that we wanted to extend beyond what we've seen in previous Mafia games. So, typically it was, like a great excuse for Lincoln Clay to do a really brutal takedown, right? When you got up behind somebody and kind of snuck up on him. But here in Mafia, the Old Country, the knives actually, we have a couple of different archetypes, and the player is able to select their archetype. They're able to, purchase additional knives, which kind of have some, greater benefits within that sort of archetype class. And then we also have another system that we call charms, which are contextualized as kind of these rosary beads that you can find throughout the story, which then can add additional perks and things like on top of that.
The knives themselves have got a durability system. So you've got like a number of uses of their special actions, and those knives also start to get some perks on top as well, special abilities. So one example is, I think, where it allows you, when you kill someone with a kind of a combat takedown with a knife, you automatically loot that person rather than having to do it afterwards. So you get some kind of mild extra gameplay abilities from selecting certain knives as well.
So what's the best way to play the game? Is it stealth or is it guns blazing?
Personally, I really like grabbing the throwing knife. So it's one of the archetypes that has a special ability there. It gives you a silent ranged attack, and I really like seeing how far I can go into a mission until I get spotted. But then I saw one of our amazing QA guys playing with mouse and keyboard and the pump action shotgun, and I was like blown away, literally, with how intense these headshots were, from just super high mouse speed, no aim assist, all this stuff. I play on easy, right? I'm watching our QA and I'm like, that looks fun, right? And I think fans that are new to the Mafia series are going to really enjoy it, but fans that come from playing Mafia Definitive Edition or Mafia 3 are instantly going to recognize that feel. Players are just going to have to pick, do you go quiet or do you go loud?
How does a AAA studio like Hangar 13 go about researching for their game? Devin told us about a fun field trip that the team went on, and we've got some behind the scenes for you as well.
I mean, we did particularly on the weapons side, a lot of the weapons are heavily inspired by, Italian military service weapons at the time. We have weapon artists that spent hours and hours poring over different reference material, trying to figure out, what weapons, kind of in this time frame, right? Just, turn of the last century would be appropriate, would be common. I think I even saw a YouTube video of this guy who is like a historical weapons kind of expert going through there and pointing out, all the things that were accurate and giving us some suggestions that we might take to heart to make things even more accurate. Same thing with the vehicles, right? We wanted to have these vehicles that were historically accurate, we actually found this very eccentric guy here in Czech Republic, where I'm based, who is independently wealthy, and he owns a lot of these vehicles, right? And he was kind enough to let us go out there. We took our audio guys out there. They're hanging off the back of these cars, going at very unsafe speeds with no seat belts, none of the modern safety features that you see in modern automobiles. And we were recording how these cars sound on the back roads of Czech Republic at speed, and then we're bringing them into the game.
We visited a workshop that was still crafting all of these different kind of traditional knives, and the craftsmen themselves were also practitioners of this knife dueling, and kind of gave us a little crash course in knife fighting while we were there.
You can use your knife at any moment during normal gameplay, right? And there's uses in combat. So you can use it to pick lock boxes or some locked doors in the game, right? But we do, as you say, have this kind of bespoke knife dueling mode. Right? In previous Mafia games, sometimes you're shooting a guy in a cinematic, or you're kind of shooting him from across the screen, or you're blowing him up while he's in his car, right? And that's kind of how those named villains or antagonists meet their demise. But here we have an opportunity for Enzo to be face to face with some of these guys that you have been building animosity with across the course of the game. It gives a really nice immersive experience. And again, you're right there face to face with one of your key foes in the game.
Now for the first time ever, you're gonna be able to ride horses in a Mafia game. And Mafia games have always allowed you to down a peg or two and get in a car. Does that mean you can do the same before riding a horse?
We might need to bring you into the next design meeting for the next game in the old country, if there is one. I don't think that we have any drunk horse riding or racing. No spoilers. We may continue the Mafia tradition of being able to do some imbibing and driving, but you'll have to see there. I mean, I don't want to spoil anyone, but the Mafia games are known for races.
Before we ended the interview with Alex and Devin, I had to ask them about the oranges. How many oranges can you count in Mafia, the old country?
It's a lot.
I would say tens of thousands. There must be tens of thousands of individual instances of fruits in this game. There's crates of fruits. There's trees laden with fruits everywhere you go. There's fruits everywhere.
But in all seriousness, Hangar 13 seems to have cooked up a promising title in Mafia, the old country. They've been listening to feedback from fans forever now, and they believe that this new game is going to be worth the wait.
You know, one of the things that happened when we released Mafia Definitive Edition in 2020 is we were very focused on what the fans' reaction would be. You know, that was such a classic game, and it was really beloved by players who played in the original. And we wanted to capture that, and we listened, and we heard a lot of positive feedback around kind of the formula. This you know, play a classic mob movie. You are the protagonist in this amazing storyline, you know, and that we sort of thrust you on this linear narrative roller coaster, you know, set with a backdrop within, you know, an open world that has a lot of character to it. And that's what we wanted to do with Mafia the Old Country. Hey India, we're so excited for you to play Mafia the Old Country, releasing on August 8th. We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon.
Let us know in the comments what you think of the new upcoming Mafia game, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more such exclusive videos. That's all for now, and we'll see you in the next one.